Hey everyone, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps, and today I created kind of this distressed farmhouse look using the Lovely Layers sunflowers. So let's start with the sunflower. I die cut from some white cardstock, and I'm going to be using some Distress Oxide inks to color our images. For the sunflower, I'm going to be using Wild Honey and Scattered Straw. I am starting with the Wild Honey on the back layer and the middle layer for the sunflower itself. So I'm just gonna do a quick ink blend. We're gonna do a ton of distressing on here. I've been doing some other crafty projects at home, and I've been doing a lot of distressing, and I just am now going to be carrying it in my cards because it's just way too much fun. Here is that second layer, but I'm keeping the ends of the flower petals lighter rather than the whole background. That was the darker Wild Honey. That I kept the petals lighter. Then for the top layer, I will be using Scattered Straw. And then I come in with a little bit of that Wild Honey at the base of the leaves. And ink blending these lovely layers, it gets you to color your images really quick, which is really, really nice. So now we have our 3 layers for our sunflower ink blended. Then we have our center or 2 center pieces, and then I die cut 2 of the leaves. For the center pieces, I used Scorched Timber. I'm going to ink blend both of them exactly the same. Just a quick blending. I also know that I am going to use distress sprays on these, so I'm not worried especially about this being perfect because I'm going to use the coordinating color of distress spray for that centerpiece. Then for the leaves, I am using Rustic Wilderness and just giving that a little bit of a darker down the center, lighter a little bit on the outside, just so it's not perfectly colored. I don't want it perfectly colored. I want to see lighter and darker areas. So in my splatter box, I am spritzing that background with the Distress Oxide spray in a Scorched Timber. And then for the sunflower and the leaves, I will be using Ground Espresso. I'm just making sure that I am shaking that up really good and then getting a decent spritz. I don't want to cover up all of that yellow, but I definitely want a lot of that Ground Espresso. And I'm doing the same thing on the leaves. I'm going to just take the end of a paintbrush and just lightly bend up the edges of the leaves. And then I'm also going to just take my fingers and kind of bend some of these leaves. So they're just a little more distressed. It's not like this perfect image. They're going to be bent up, and I'm going to do the same thing, kind of bending back and forth for that back piece. I'm going to take my scissors and rough up the edges of the leaves. And I did not do anything with the centerpiece, with the centerpieces. I should have, but I just didn't. Then I am using Vintage Photo Distress Oxide to go around the edges of the leaves, adding some color to the top a little bit, to the edges of the top layer of the center, and then lightly going over the flowers. And because I kind of bent the leaves and stuff, it's catching that, like the bent part, the crinkled part is catching that ink. And then I'm definitely getting it on the outside edges. So we got a lot of distressing going on. Let's adhere these together. It took me a second to find out how these lined up because they were so ink covered that I couldn't see where the blank petals were that did not have an embossed image, because that's kind of how you know how to line them up. So it took me a second to line them up, but I did get them to match, and I just think it turned out so pretty. I love this sunflower. And then just a little bit of liquid glue in the center. And then we can adhere our centers to this. And then we're going to work on the background. I am using paper from the Grain and Grunge 6x8 patterned paper. That is what I'm going to be using for all my tag, my background, and everything. So I am putting the A2 scalloped card frame, the largest one, on that really pretty like chippy wood look. And then one of the ovals from the Sweet Stacks ovals on just one of the one of the light patterned papers in that paper pack. I'm just going to distress the edge again with the scissors and then come in with the vintage photo and go around the edges of this. I did not distress the scalloped background, but I am going to add a little bit of that vintage photo on the scalloped part. Then from the same scallop dies, I took the small die, not the smallest one, the second smallest one. We're going to make a little tag, and I'm using some of the turquoise wood grain pattern paper from that same grain and grunge, and I'm stamping the sentiment that says "Together We Rise" from the Lean on Each Other stamp set, and I'm just stamping that with black ink, and I'm going to tuck this in like a tag. That's going to be for our sentiment alone. I'm not going to add a sentiment anywhere else. So let's use some foam adhesive to pop up that oval in the center. So I'm going to use 2 pieces of like 2mm foam adhesive. And then I will center the sunflower right in the middle of the oval. And then we can start tucking in the leaves and that tag. Use a little bit of liquid glue on the back of the flower. And doesn't that look so nice? It's so distressed. I love how distressed this background is. Now I did forget to distress this tag, but I'll do that here in a minute. I got excited about gluing it in there because I like that little pop of turquoise against all of that grungy look in the back. And then I can adhere these leaves down. And I'm also going to bring in a little bit of like some twine, some natural twine. I should have done this before I had my tag adhered down. I just kind of wasn't thinking ahead. So I'm going to just wrap it around 2 times and then tie off a little knot. It's just a little something extra at the end of the tag up by the flower. One more little element to add to this. So I'm not going to tie a bow. I'm just going to tie a knot, and then I can trim the excess off. I'm just going to tuck that piece around and on the tag, and I don't want it to cover up the sentiment, so it's kind of, you can kind of see, like it's kind of hidden, kind of not, so, but it's just a little extra touch. Then I remembered I needed to add some of that vintage photo to the tag, so I did that, and then this will be adhered to a white A2 size card base, and this is the finished card. I love all that distressing. I think it looks so good, and this was a really fun card to make. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys feel inspired by it. I hope it makes you want to create something wonderful. Thank you so very much, and I hope you guys have a great day.